You have spent the deposit. Now when do I come for the balance? I accept blood only." Those words came from a man standing in the corner of my room. He was wearing a suit that was black like charcoal. I tried to look at his face to beg him, but when he turned around, he had no eyes. He had no nose. He had no mouth. His face was smooth like a new egg. I opened my mouth to scream, but no sound came out. I was shaking on my bed. My heart was beating like a drum. I wanted to wake up, but the dream held me tight. But before I tell you about this monster, let me take you back to how this whole trouble started. It started on a Tuesday afternoon when the sun was so hot it could boil an egg on the ground. My name is Emeka, and I'm a mechanic. My life was very hard. On that Tuesday, I was under an old Toyota car. Engine oil was dripping on my face, my uniform was dirty and torn. I was smelling like sweat and grease. I was very hungry. My stomach was making noise because I had not eaten since morning. My old guy was shouting at me from the other side of the workshop. "Emeka, hurry up with that car, the owner is coming." I wiped the sweat from my eyes with a dirty rag. I was tired. I was tired of fixing other people's cars while I had to walk on my legs. I was tired of my landlord shouting for his rent every morning. I was tired of my girlfriend Emeka looking at me like I was a failure because I could not buy her nice things. Suddenly, my phone vibrated in my pocket. It was a small, cracked Android phone. I thought it was MTN sending me message to buy data. I dragged myself out from under the car. I sat on an old tire and brought out the phone. I wiped the grease on the screen so I could see well. I saw a credit alert. My eyes opened wide. I blinked one time, I blinked 2 times. I thought the sun was disturbing my eyes. I looked again. It was from a bank. The message said 50 million Naira had entered my account. 50 million Naira. I stopped breathing for 1 minute. I looked around the workshop. Did anybody see me? Did anybody see the message? I quickly put the phone back in my pocket and held it tight. My heart was beating fast like I just ran a race. Who sent this money? It must be a mistake. Maybe the bank made a big mistake and they'll take it back now. I waited for my phone to ring. I waited for the police to come with sirens and arrest me. I was shaking. "Emeka, what are you doing there, sitting down?" my old guy shouted again. "Nothing, old guy," I said. My voice was shaking. I went back to work, but my hands were shaking too much. I could not hold the spanner well. 50 million Naira was in my pocket. That's money that can buy this whole workshop. That's money that can buy a big house. I finished work late that day. I walked home. Usually I buy roasted corn on the road, but today I could not eat. I was too scared. What if I buy corn and the police catch me? What if it is money for criminals and they are tracking me? I reached my house. It was a small room with one window. The fan was making noise. I lay down on my mattress. I brought out the phone again. The money was still there. 50 million Naira. The sender name was just unknown. I did not sleep that night. I watched the phone until morning. I was a rich man, but I was afraid to spend even 1 Naira. I was a rich man, but I went to bed hungry. I did not know that this money was a trap. I did not know that the devil does not give gifts for free. If I knew what was coming, I would have thrown that phone into the lagoon. But I did not know. I just stared at the screen and the numbers looked like they were shining in the dark. 1 week passed and I was looking like a skeleton. I was holding 50 million Naira in my hand, but I was drinking gari without sugar. I was afraid that if I spent the money, the EFCC would break my door. But hunger is a very bad thing. Hunger does not care if you are afraid. Hunger will beat you until you disobey your fear. On the 8th day, I could not take it anymore. I wore my best shirt, even though it had a small hole in the armpit. I put my ATM card in my pocket. I did not go to the bank near my workshop. I took a bus to a place very far away where nobody knew my face. I walked to the ATM machine. My legs were heavy. I looked left and right. I saw a security man holding a gun, but he was sleeping.
I put my card inside the machine. My hand was shaking so much I almost dropped the card. I tapped my pen. The machine asked me how much I wanted. I pressed 5,000 naira. I held my breath. I closed my eyes. I waited for the machine to start shouting, "Thief! Thief!" I waited for the card to get stuck. Suddenly, the machine started making that sweet noise. Grrr, grrr, grrr. The money came out. 5 crisp 1,000 naira notes. I grabbed the money quickly. I took my card and I walked away fast. I did not run so nobody would suspect me. I walked until I turned the corner. Then I stopped to breathe. Nobody followed me. No police came. The money was real. I went straight to a restaurant. I bought a big plate of amala with bagiri and ewedu soup. I put 4 pieces of goat meat and 1 big pon mo. I bought 2 bottles of cold malt. I sat down and ate like a king. The food tasted like heaven. I washed my hand and rubbed my stomach. If 5,000 naira did not cause wahala, maybe 50,000 will not cause wahala. I became bold. I took my phone and paid my rent. My landlord called me immediately. He was shouting prayers for me on the phone saying, "Emeka, you're a good boy. God will bless you." I cut the call. I sent money to my mother for her leg pain medicine. The alert went through. No police came. I felt like a big man. I felt like I was the president. Why was I suffering all these years when money was so sweet? I went to my workshop the next morning. My oga started shouting, "Emeka, why are you late?" I looked at him and laughed. I threw my dirty mechanic uniform on the floor. "I am not working again," I told him. He looked at me with his mouth open. I walked out of that place and I did not look back. I went to a car stand where they sell expensive cars. The boys there looked at my slippers and wanted to chase me away. I told them, "I want to buy that Lexus." I pointed to a silver Jeep that was shining in the sun. They laughed at me. "Do you know how much that is?" the man asked me. I brought out my phone. I asked for his account number. I transferred the money. When he saw the alert on his phone, he nearly lay down on the ground for me. "Oga, sir, welcome, sir. Do you want water, sir?" I drove the Lexus out of the place. The AC was blowing cold air on my face. I felt powerful. I drove to Neka's shop. I pressed the horn loud. Beep, beep. She came out looking angry, but when she saw it was me inside the big Jeep, she covered her mouth with her hands. "Get in," I told her. "I just hit a big contract." She entered and was touching the leather seats. "Emeka, is this for you?" she asked. I smiled. "It is for us," I said. We drove around Lagos that evening. Everyone was looking at me. The police at the checkpoint saluted me. I gave them money and they hailed me. I felt like I owned the world. I did not know that the owner of the money was watching me. I did not know that I had just signed my own death warrant. That night, I checked into a big hotel because my room was too small for my new level. I slept on the soft bed thinking I had arrived. Then the dream came. I woke up shouting Jesus. My body was soaked with water like I fell inside a river. The AC in the hotel was very cold, but I was burning hot. My chest was paining me like someone was using a hammer to hit my ribs. I looked around the room. The expensive curtains were closed. The room was dark. There was no man in a charcoal suit. There was no faceless monster. It was just me and my fear. I sat on the edge of the bed and held my head. It was just a dream, I told myself. Emeka, stop fearing. You're a big man now. You drive a Lexus. Big men did not fear dreams. I tried to stand up, but my legs were shaking. I walked to the bathroom to wash my face. I wanted to wash the fear away. I turned on the light and looked in the mirror. I shouted again. My face was not my face. My eyes were yellow, not small yellow. They were deep yellow, like a ripe pawpaw. My skin looked dry like old paper that has been under the sun for too long. I looked like an old man of 70 years. I touched my face. It felt rough. What is happening to me? I asked the mirror. I'm only 25 years old. Why do I look like my grandfather? I ran back to the room and grabbed my phone. I wanted to see that the money was gone. I wanted the money to disappear so the demon would leave me alone. But the alert was still there. It was even worse. The money had increased. It was not 50 million anymore. It was 55 million. It was like the money was giving birth inside my phone. I put on my clothes quickly. I did not even bathe. I ran out of the hotel and jumped into my Lexus. I drove fast to the bank. I needed to return this money. I needed to tell them it was a mistake. I did not care about the car anymore. I just wanted my life back. When I reached the bank, I ran inside like a madman. "Where's the manager?" I shouted. The security man wanted to hold me, but I pushed him away. "Do you know who I am?" I screamed. "I'm a billionaire." I entered the manager's office without knocking. The man was drinking tea. He looked at me with surprise. "Oga manager, check my account," I said. "Someone sent me money and I want to return it. Take it back. Take everything back." The manager looked at me like I was mad. He asked for my account name. I gave him. He typed on his computer. He frowned his face. "Mr. Emeka, you have 0 naira in your account," he said. I laughed a crazy laugh. "Are you blind?" I asked him. "Check well. There is 50 million naira there." I showed him my phone. "Look at the alert. Look at the bait." He looked at my phone and shook his head. "The screen is blank," he said. "There is nothing there." My blood turned to ice. I looked at the phone. I saw the numbers shining bright. 55 million. He saw nothing. It was juju. It was magic money. Only my eyes could see it. I realized then that I bought the car with money that did not exist in the bank. I bought the car with something else. The car dealer saw money because the spirit deceived him, but the debt was on my head. I ran out of the bank. People were looking at me. "See the madman with the Lexus," they whispered. I entered my car and locked the doors. I looked in the rearview mirror to reverse. He was there. The man without a face was sitting in the back seat of my car. He was not wearing a seatbelt. He sat straight like a statue. I did not hear him speak with my ears, but his voice was loud inside my head. "The ride was smooth," he said. "You enjoyed the car. You enjoyed the respect. Now you must pay the interest." I screamed and turned to look at the back seat. Nobody was there, but the seat was cold, very cold. I started the car and drove to Nneka's house. I needed help. When she opened the door, she screamed. "Emeka, what happened to you?" she asked. "You look like a dead body." I tried to speak, but I started coughing. I coughed into my hand. When I looked at my palm, it was full of thick, dark blood. The payment had started. Nneka was crying. She used a clean towel to wipe the blood from my mouth. "Emeka, please, let us go to the hospital," she begged me. Her voice was shaking. I looked at her face. She was beautiful. She loved me when I had nothing. Now I had everything and I was about to lose her. I pushed her away gently. "Nneka, do not touch me," I said. "I am poison." She did not listen. She held my hand. Her hand was warm. My hand was cold like a dead fish. Suddenly the light in the room flickered. Off, on, off, on. The air became heavy. I smelled something like rotten meat mixed with burnt tires. I knew he was here. I looked at the corner of the room. He was standing there, the Faceless Man. This time he was not wearing a suit. He was wearing my old mechanic uniform, the one I threw on the floor. It was covered in oil and blood. The voice spoke inside my head. It sounded like grinding stones. "You cannot run from the bank manager," he said. "You borrowed joy. Now you must pay back with sorrow. The interest has increased. Your blood is not enough anymore. I need a soul that is dear to you." I covered my ears. "Leave me alone," I shouted. Emeka looked at me with fear. "Emeka, who are you talking to?" she asked. She could not see him, only me. The faceless man pointed a finger at Emeka. "She ate the food," he said. "She rode in the car. She enjoyed the cool breeze of the AC. She is part of the contract. Give her to me and I will wipe your debt. I will let you live. You will be rich forever. Just push her. Just one small push and she will fall." I looked at Emeka. Suddenly she did not look like my girlfriend. She looked like a bag of money. I saw her neck. It was long and thin. My hands started to itch. If I kill her, the pain'll stop. If I kill her, I will not die. I can marry another wife. I can have many girlfriends with 50 million naira. I stood up. I walked towards her. "Emeka, why are you looking at me like that?" she whispered. She moved back until she hit the wall. I raised my hand. The faceless man was nodding his head without a face. "Yes, do it," he whispered. My hand touched her neck. Her skin was soft. She was crying now. "Please, Emeka, I'm afraid," she said. Her tears touched my hand. The hot water woke me up. What was I doing? I'm Emeka the mechanic, not Emeka the killer. I pulled my hand away like fire burnt me. I screamed a loud scream that shook the windows. "Run, Emeka," I shouted. "Run away from me. I'm a devil." She did not wait. She ran out of the room. I heard the front door bang. I fell on the floor and cried. I was alone with the monster. "You are weak," the voice laughed. "You are very weak. If you cannot pay with her, then you will pay with everything. You have until the sun comes up." I stood up. I knew what I had to do. I could not kill Emeka. I could not kill an innocent person. I looked at the car keys on the table. The Lexus was the trap. The money was the trap. I had to destroy the trap. I grabbed the keys and ran out to the car. The night was dark, but my eyes were seeing clear. I drove like a madman towards the bridge, the third mainland bridge. That is where this story must end. The wind on Third Mainland Bridge was slapping my face like a wicked teacher. I was driving at 180. The Lexus was crying. The engine was screaming for mercy. I did not care. If I die, I die. Better to die in a crash than to let that demon take my soul to hell. The road was empty because it was 2 a.m. The lagoon water below was black like ink. It was looking at me, waiting to swallow me. I smashed the brake. Screech! The car spun around and stopped in the middle of the bridge. My head hit the steering wheel, but I did not feel pain. I opened the door and fell out. I was holding a gallon of petrol that I kept in the boot. My hands were shaking so much the petrol was spilling on my shoes. I shouted into the darkness, "Take it back! I do not want your money. I do not want your car. Leave me alone, you devil!" I screamed until my throat was tearing. I opened the back door of the Lexus. I poured the petrol inside. I poured it on the soft leather seats. I poured it on the dashboard that was shining like a mirror. I poured it on the steering wheel that I loved so much. The smell of petrol filled my nose. It smelled better than the smell of death that was following me. I brought out a matchbox. I struck one stick. The fire sparked. I threw it inside the car. Gabzam! The fire exploded. I jumped back. The heat hit my face. I started laughing. I was laughing like a madman. Burn! Burn everything! Let the contract burn to ash! I thought I was free. I thought I had won. But then I looked closer. The fire was burning, but the car was not melting. The leather did not turn to ash. The paint did not peel. The fire was just dancing on top of the car like it was decoration. It was a cold fire. It was a spirit fire. Then I saw him. The faceless man was sitting on the railing of the bridge. He was swinging his legs like a small child playing in the park. He was not burning. The fire reflected on his smooth face. He did not have a mouth, but I heard him laugh.
It was a dry laugh, like dry leaves stepping on each other. "Emeka, you are a fool," he said inside my head. "You think you can burn a spirit debt with petrol station fuel? The car is not the problem. The money is not the problem. The problem is your heart. You opened the door when you spent the first kobo. You ate the food. You swallowed the contract. The deposit was not the money. The deposit was your desire. Now I have come for the balance." I fell on my knees. I was weak. My body felt empty, like a balloon without air. I looked at my hand. My skin was turning gray. The meat on my body was drying up. I looked at my arm and I saw my bones pushing against my skin. The blood was leaving me. It was not pouring on the ground. It was just vanishing, evaporating into the air to feed the demon. My phone on the ground vibrated one last time. The screen lit up in the dark. I crawled to it. I wanted to see if the money was still there. I saw a debit alert. Amount, 50 million life force. Balance, 0. Status, transaction successful. I tried to cry, but I had no water in my eyes. I rolled over and looked at the sky. The sun was trying to come out, but I could not see the light. I was cold, so cold. I was a dry leaf on the bridge. Just before my eyes closed forever, the phone beeped again. A text message. My eyes were blurry, but I saw the name, Landlord. "Emeka, pay your rent this morning or I will throw your things outside." I tried to smile. I wanted to tell him not to worry. I had already paid the highest rent in the world. I paid with my blood. The phone light went off. The bridge was silent. And then I was gone.